You've been sensing it, the shift, the heaviness in the air that doesn't quite feel like fear, but like expectancy. You've been walking through your days like someone carrying an invisible weight, a whisper in your spirit reminding you that something is coming, that all the pressure, all the stillness, all the delays weren't signs of abandonment. They were signs of divine rearrangement. Something sacred has been unfolding behind the curtain, and you, chosen one, are standing right at the edge of it. This is not just another night. This is a threshold between what was and what's about to be. And by midnight, everything will change. The clock is ticking on the old version of you, not because you failed, not because you lost, but because your time in the cocoon is ending. This is the part where heaven starts unveiling what it's been hiding in you. All the waiting wasn't for nothing. It was for this moment, this very hour. You're not watching this video by accident. You're being positioned for a purpose. So I encourage you to stay with me until the end of this video. Let this message fill your soul and prepare your heart. And if this resonates with your soul, write your heartfelt wish in the comments by typing 777 and align your energy with this breakthrough. The energy you release tonight could be what changes the atmosphere around you. May this night be the night of your divine transformation. And if you enjoyed the video and it brought you light, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Because chosen one, you've walked through shadows that others would have crumbled beneath. You've endured storms in silence while holding space for people who never even asked if you were okay. You've clung to your faith when your reality gave you every reason to let go. And somehow you're still here, still breathing, still rising. But tonight is not just another night of survival. This is a turning point. This is the midnight hour, the spiritual tipping point, where destiny collides with obedience. You've been misunderstood because your calling speaks in frequencies that most people can't hear. You've been set apart, not because you were less, but because you were more sensitive, more aware, more chosen. And when God sets someone apart, isolation becomes a womb of transformation. You weren't being punished. You were being prepared. You weren't losing. You were being repositioned. Every delay, every closed door, every painful goodbye was heaven's way of making room for what was meant for you. By midnight, the things you prayed for in secret will begin to echo in the realm of the visible. The spiritual realm is active, realigning timelines, softening hardened hearts, and opening paths that were previously hidden. You may not see it with your eyes yet, but your soul feels it. That fire in your chest, that tightness in your gut, that divine unease that tells you something is shifting. It's not in your imagination. It's confirmation. You're standing at the edge of divine breakthrough. This is why you've been feeling stretched, because your spirit is growing faster than your surroundings. This is why you felt disconnected from old environments, because your new chapter requires a new atmosphere. Your mind has been expanding while the world around you kept trying to box you in. But the box can no longer contain what God has been forming in the dark. Tonight, that box breaks. Tonight, the old container cracks under the pressure of new light. The voice of the enemy tried to convince you that nothing was changing, that you were forgotten, that your prayers fell on deaf ears. But what the enemy didn't realize is that you were being hidden, not ignored. God hides his greatest warriors in plain sight. You were covered while being cultivated. And now, just before the clock strikes 12, the covering is lifting. Don't be surprised if doors open with ease after this. Don't be alarmed when people who never noticed you suddenly feel drawn to your presence. This is what happens when alignment finds you, when timing and destiny shake hands. The version of you that rises after tonight won't be the same one who entered this season. The weight will lift, the vision will sharpen, the authority will return. This is what you were made for. This is why you didn't break when others did. This is why the darkness tried so hard to confuse you. Because even it saw the glow starting to leak through the cracks. But it's too late now. You've come too far. You've awakened too much. The flame in you can't be suffocated anymore. It's time for your purpose to ignite everything around you. You're not just transforming. You're becoming fire. You've spent so long carrying burdens that weren't yours, walking through battles no one saw, praying through nights that felt endless. But something within you, something divine, kept whispering, hold on just a little longer. And even when you didn't know why you were holding on, you did. That's the mark of someone chosen. Someone who knows deep down that their story doesn't end in darkness, but in glory. You were called to walk through fire so that others could witness what survival looks like when God is on your side. Your scars are not signs of defeat. They are proof of deliverance. Every tear you cried watered the roots of your future. Every no you received was a redirection towards something greater. You weren't being denied, you were being refined. And the season you're about to step into won't just make sense, it will make history. This is the moment to align with that truth. So if your spirit resonates with this message, if your heart knows this is for you, then take a sacred moment right now. In the comments, write your most heartfelt wish followed by 777. That simple act is not just a comment. It's an energetic declaration. It's you stepping into your divine frequency and telling the universe you're ready. Let it be the moment you move from hoping to knowing, from waiting to receiving. Because the truth is, the enemy tried to make you believe you were crazy, that your dreams were too big, your visions too strange, your intuition too strong. But what they called delusion was actually discernment. What they laughed at was sacred knowledge. You've always seen what others couldn't, felt what others ignored. That's not a flaw, it's a gift. The world wasn't ready for your depth, but heaven always was. By midnight, you'll understand why your name was removed from certain rooms, why you were overlooked, why the people you loved the most walked away. God didn't subtract them to punish you. He subtracted them to make space. Space for alignment, space for real love, space for miracles that require no explanation. You don't need anyone's permission to become who you already are. The only approval that matters was written on your spirit long before you ever arrived on this earth. Don't let the silence of the season fool you. Seeds grow in silence. Transformation happens in the dark. And you, chosen one, have been in a sacred process, one that the world will only understand when they see what blooms from your stillness, when they witness the power of a soul that refused to quit. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not forgotten. You are positioned. Every divine calling comes with divine timeline, and your moment is arriving. Even now, things are moving in your favor. There are people talking about you in rooms you don't even know exist yet. There are shifts happening behind the scenes that are about to make you realize why nothing else worked before. It's because you were never meant to settle, never meant to blend in, never meant to shrink. Your voice wasn't made for echoes. It was made to be the original. Your light wasn't made to dim. It was meant to disrupt the darkness. Your presence wasn't meant to be tolerated. It was meant to be transformational. And that's why you felt everything so deeply. That's why this world has never felt quite like home. Because you weren't born to fit in, you were born to awaken, to remind others what divinity feels like when it walks into a room. And now, the world is finally ready to see what God has been cultivating in silence. This season will make sense. The pain will have purpose. The confusion will give way to clarity. And the version of you that steps forward will be unstoppable. Not because you're invincible, but because you are anointed. You're not here by accident. You're not here for comfort. You're here for impact. And by midnight, the impact begins. You may have questioned why the fire wouldn't stop, why it kept getting hotter, why the trials wouldn't end, why the weight on your shoulders only seemed to grow heavier as time passed. You looked around and saw others thriving, building, celebrating, while you were still enduring, still praying, still bleeding in silence. But you must understand, chosen one, that the hotter the fire, the purer the gold. What felt like punishment was always preparation. You weren't just being tested, you were being trusted. Trusted with spiritual strength that only those who have walked through true darkness can carry. Trusted to lead others out of the storm because you had weathered your own. Trusted to keep standing even when it would have been easier to lay down. God didn't allow the fire to destroy you. He allowed it to define you. There's a kind of clarity that only comes from walking through the wilderness, a kind of wisdom that cannot be taught in comfort. And you, chosen one, have earned every ounce of insight you now carry. You've been forged by pain but kept soft by compassion. You've been shaped by struggle but remain led by love. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you dangerous to darkness. Because now you see through illusions. You sense things before they happen. You move with divine timing, not the world's noise. And that frustrates those who thought they had you figured out. They try to label you, define you, predict you, but you kept evolving. You kept rising. You kept becoming something unexplainable. That's what divine protection looks like. Not just being saved from harm, but being hidden from those who would mishandle you. This is why the enemy fought you so hard. It wasn't just about your past. It was about your potential. The light you carry exposes too much. It heals too much. It disrupts too much. And those who benefit from lies and fear can't stand someone who walks in truth and love. So they try to dim you, to distract you, to derail you. But here you are, still burning, still breathing, still believing. And by midnight, that fire inside you is going to light up the next path. The confusion will begin to lift. The fog will start to clear. And what was once unclear will suddenly feel obvious. You'll realize that the delays were strategic, that the closed doors were mercies, that the no's you heard were divine redirects toward a far greater yes that's now knocking. This isn't about overnight success. It's about eternal significance. And while others were racing ahead, you were being rooted. While others were collecting applause, you were cultivating alignment. And now, while the world is watching, you're about to emerge, not just as a survivor, not just as a believer, but as a beacon. Your transformation won't be loud, but it will be undeniable. People will look at you and sense something they can't explain, a peace that doesn't make sense, a strength that seems supernatural, a glow that no filter could ever produce. That's what being chosen looks like. It's not always flashy, but it's always holy. You've cried enough. You've doubted enough. You've waited long enough. Now it's time to move. Not with fear, not with desperation, but with boldness, with certainty, with the knowing that what's ahead of you is so aligned, so prepared, so destined, that even your past can't sabotage it. You're stepping into a reality that reflects your resilience, a future that matches your faith, and a destiny that honors everything you had to sacrifice to get here. They won't understand how you made it, but that's okay. It wasn't for them to understand. It was for you to experience. And now it's your time to shine, with purpose, with power, with peace. You always knew there was something different about you, even before the chaos, even before the betrayals and the breakdowns. There was this subtle pull in your soul, an echo that whispered, you don't belong here, but you're meant to change here. And because of that, life was never normal for you. Comfort was always temporary. Friends came and went. Doors opened and closed without explanation. And while others could settle, you could never quite shake the feeling that something bigger was chasing you, or maybe waiting for you. That wasn't your imagination. That was your calling speaking before you even had the words for it. That was divine purpose tracking you down in every season, even the silent ones, especially the silent ones. Because it's in the silence that chosen ones are refined, not through applause, not through validation, but through stillness, through waiting, through listening to the divine whispers that most people ignore. And if you're honest, you had moments where you wondered if you were broken, why things didn't work out for you like they did for others, why what was easy for them felt like a battlefield for you. But here's the secret that most people never discover. Being chosen doesn't mean you're better. It means you're burdened differently. It means you carry light in dark places. And light is always tested by shadow. The attacks weren't random. The spiritual warfare wasn't accidental. They saw your light long before you did. That's why you were misunderstood. That's why you were overlooked. That's why some people couldn't handle you, even when all you gave them was love. Your frequency disrupted their comfort. Your discernment exposed their masks. Your fire made their coldness obvious. But chosen one, that was never a reason to dim. Never a reason to fold. Because even when you didn't see it, heaven was keeping score. Every tear, every loss, every betrayal, every lonely night you curled up and whispered, God, why me? It was all recorded, not to punish you, but to preserve you. You were being covered in places you didn't even realize were under attack. You were being protected from paths that would have stolen your peace. And you were being positioned slowly, divinely, for this exact moment. A moment not created by algorithms or effort, but by alignment, by divine orchestration. And now, as midnight approaches, something in the spirit realm is breaking open. What once resisted you is now releasing you. What once delayed you is now making way for you. The pressure is becoming power. The pain is birthing purpose. And every ounce of suffering is being translated into sacred wisdom that the world desperately needs. You were never meant to be just another voice in a crowd. You were meant to echo the truth that so many have forgotten, to remind others of who they are by standing firm in who you are. You don't need credentials to carry authority. You don't need approval to walk in anointing. You are the evidence that God still moves, still speaks, still selects the most unlikely vessels to carry the most undeniable light. This world needs your voice, your story, your scars. Not polished, not perfect, but real, raw, redeemed. That's what breaks chains. That's what opens hearts. That's what awakens the sleeping souls who have been waiting desperately for someone like you to remind them it's not over. So keep walking, keep trusting, keep glowing, even when no one claps, even when no one understands. Because chosen one, what's coming for you is sacred. It's specific. It's sealed. And not even the darkness that tried to destroy you can rewrite what heaven has already declared over your life. Something is stirring inside you. You can feel it in your bones. The tension, the shift, the invisible weight pressing against your spirit. It's not anxiety. It's preparation. The kind that only comes before divine elevation. And no matter how much your mind tries to rationalize it, your soul already knows midnight is near. And when it strikes, nothing will be the same. You've been carrying a version of yourself that was only ever meant to be temporary, a survival self. The you that kept going even when you were exhausted. The you that smiled through pain, that forgave when no one said sorry, that dreamed even when your heart was crushed. But that version is shedding. It served its purpose. And now, something higher is calling you forward, not to become someone new, but to return to who you always were before the world dimmed your light, before trauma taught you silence, before fear disguised itself as logic and convinced you to shrink. Your soul has always known the truth, and now that truth is rising again, like fire in your veins, reminding you you were never crazy. You were always called. This moment was prophesied long before your birth. That's why you were so heavily targeted. The spiritual world doesn't waste energy on people with no power. The enemy knew what was coming long before you did. That's why he sent infusion to cloud your mind, distractions to delay your purpose, temporary comforts to detour your path. But it didn't work. You're still standing. And even more than that, you're awakening, not in theory, but in practice. You're seeing with new eyes, feeling with new sensitivity, and hearing the whispers of God louder than ever before. They're not coincidences. They're confirmations, guiding you back to the version of yourself that was always chosen, always covered, always connected to divine timing. You're not late. You're not behind. You're right on schedule. And that schedule is about to accelerate. Because when midnight strikes, when the final second of the season passes, everything will shift. Doors you didn't knock on will fly open. Conversations you never expected will appear. People you thought forgot you will suddenly remember. But it won't be them. It will be God moving. Strategically, swiftly, supernaturally. Don't question it. Don't overthink it. Receive it. This is not a reward, it's a revelation. A realization that what you've been through wasn't punishment, but preparation. You were never being punished for who you are. You were being positioned for who you're becoming. And now that you're here, on the edge of breakthrough, don't look back. Don't shrink. Don't second-guess your glow. You've outgrown the fear that used to bind you. You walked through fire and didn't lose your light. You've been buried by doubt and still reached toward the sun. And now, the heavens are responding, not with thunder, but with clarity, not with chaos, but with confirmation. You are chosen, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. Not because you're flawless, but because you're faithful. You didn't give up. And because of that, midnight will be your turning point. You've reached the edge of something sacred, a divine threshold. And just like the calm that comes before a storm, there's a hush in your spirit right now. Not because nothing is happening, but because everything is about to. The silence isn't absence, it's anticipation. A holy pause before the unfolding, a breath before the breakthrough. You've been wondering why things have felt so intense, why you've been more emotional lately, why your energy has been unpredictable, why your sleep has been restless. It's not random, it's not fatigue, it's not confusion, it's alignment. Something in the spiritual realm is preparing you for a reality your physical body hasn't yet stepped into. Your spirit is responding to what your eyes have yet to see. And in this quiet, something ancient is awakening within you, a strength you forgot you had, a clarity that was buried under years of noise. You're not becoming stronger. You're finally remembering how strong you've always been. You've survived too much to question your worth now. You've endured too long to doubt your value. What you carry is rare, and that's why the pressure was great. But pressure only comes before elevation. Don't misinterpret the resistance. It's not rejection, it's redirection. Every delay was divine. Every setback was a setup. Every door that didn't open was God protecting you from what looked good but wasn't aligned. You didn't lose. You were spared. And now, as midnight draws closer, your spirit is standing taller, firmer, ready, because you're not the same person you were last year, or even last month. You've grown in ways no one can see. You've healed in silence, fought battles no one will ever understand. And now, all of that strength is gathering, like a storm ready to break. But this time, the storm isn't coming to destroy. It's coming to cleanse, to wash away what no longer belongs, to make space for what's been waiting for you. People may still not understand you. That's okay. You weren't created to be understood. You were created to be impactful, to shift atmospheres, to ignite hope, to carry presence. Some people can't handle your light, not because it's too much, but because they've lived too long in darkness. But that's not your burden to carry. You weren't sent to dim, you were sent to shine. Boldly, bravely, authentically. And when midnight hits, don't be surprised when things begin to accelerate, when ideas flow like water, when new opportunities arise from places you never considered, when your voice carries weight in rooms where you once felt invisible. It's not luck. It's not coincidence. It's the consequence of being chosen. You didn't ask for this mantle, but you were built for it. Every tear, every scar, every lonely night, it wasn't for nothing. Heaven saw you when no one else did. God counted you in when the world counted you out. And now, the story is turning in your favor. You're not chasing anymore. You're attracting, not because you're striving, but because you've surrendered. You've let go of needing to control the outcome. You've trusted the divine timeline. And that trust, rooted in faith, is what's drawing miracles toward you even now. Midnight isn't just a moment, it's a portal. A spiritual shift where all the invisible seeds you planted in silence begin to bloom in light. You may not see them yet, but you will. And when you do, you'll realize everything was right on time. The clock is ticking, and midnight is no longer a far-off moment. It's here, and with it comes the shift. The unseen becomes visible. The stagnant begins to move. The silence is shattered, not with chaos, but with clarity. You, chosen one, are stepping into the very moment that was written in the heavens long before you ever took your first breath. This isn't just a new season. It's a total transformation. The version of you that endured the fires is not the one who's rising from them. You have become something new, something refined, something the world wasn't prepared for. But heaven was. You're no longer defined by who hurt you. You're not tied to the places you outgrew or the people who walked away. What once broke you can't break you now. The weight you carried? Released. The shame they tried to plant in you? Burned away. What was once your burden is now your fuel. The ashes left behind aren't your evidence of defeat. They're the proof that you were fireproof all along. And tonight, The heavens acknowledge that. Everything around you may still look the same, but you're not the same. Your frequency has changed. You vibrate at a level where fear has no authority, where doubt loses its grip, and where faith commands your steps. You no longer beg for alignment. You live in it. You've been promoted spiritually, not because someone gave you permission, but because God gave you purpose. You no longer fit into the world that underestimated you. And that's not your loss. It's their lesson. They tried to dim your light, to confuse your calling, to scatter your peace. But they couldn't. And now, they'll have to watch as you rise, gracefully, powerfully, silently. There will be moments ahead where you'll feel the weight of the responsibility you carry. Being chosen isn't about being praised. It's about being prepared. And you have been. Every betrayal, every closed door, every lonely night. They didn't bury you. They built you for this. You'll walk into rooms and shift the atmosphere without saying a word. You'll speak, and people will feel something they can't explain. You'll make decisions that defy logic, yet open doors that logic could never access. You'll know things without being told. You'll feel truth before it's spoken. That's not madness. That's discernment. That's calling. That's the power of a soul that's walked through fire and came out knowing who it is. People will wonder what changed. And you'll smile because they'll never know how close you were to giving up. How many nights you cried out with nothing but silence in return. But still you stood. Still you prayed. Still you moved. And now, heaven is responding. Everything you thought was delayed was simply reserved. Every no you heard was heaven's way of saying, not yet. But now it's time. The pieces that didn't make sense before are clicking into place. The people who walked away were never meant to walk with you here. The ones who doubted you only proved how rare your vision truly was. Midnight isn't the end, it's the beginning. The moment heaven's rhythm meets earth's timing. And when you wake tomorrow, something within you will feel different. Lighter, braver, wiser. You may not be able to explain it, but you'll know something shifted. You transformed. So take a deep breath. Let go of the old. Thank the fire for forging you. And now, step boldly into what's next. You're not just called. You're confirmed. You can feel it, can't you? Something in the atmosphere shifted. Not in the physical, but in the spirit. Midnight didn't just signal another day. It was a cosmic turning point. It was a declaration. A divine exhale. Heaven has moved. And because of that, so have you. Your soul has been realigned. This wasn't just about patience. It was about preparation. God was preparing you in silence while the world tried to disqualify you in public. They thought your delay meant your decline. They mistook your stillness for weakness. But what they couldn't see, what only heaven could, was a fire being forged inside you. You weren't waiting. You were becoming. And now, you are ready. Ready to walk in rooms with anointing instead of anxiety. Ready to speak with clarity instead of confusion. Ready to take up space without shrinking yourself to fit into places that were never designed for your expansion. They didn't see what God saw. They couldn't comprehend the weight of your purpose. They called you foolish, sensitive, weird. They rolled their eyes when you talked about vision. But that vision was planted in you for this moment. For now, tonight marked the end of who you used to be. Not because that version of you wasn't worthy, but because it was only meant to carry you to this gate, not through it. You had to outgrow it. And you did. The fears that used to grip you, gone. The guilt that used to chain you, broken. The pain that used to define you, redeemed. You now walk with a different posture, not because life got easier, but because your spirit got stronger. You've seen enough to know that storms don't last, but warriors do. You've cried enough tears to water the seeds of wisdom. You've been alone long enough to recognize your own voice from the noise of the crowd. That is power. That is alignment. So when they ask, "What happened to you?" you'll simply say, "Midnight." Because they won't understand the sacred shift that happened when the clock struck 12. They won't understand how one moment in divine timing can reroute a destiny. But you will, because you were there. You felt it. You are not walking into tomorrow with empty hands. You're walking in with sealed promises. You're not begging for your time. You're arriving in it. You're not chasing purpose. You become it. From this night forward, your intuition will be louder. Your peace will be non-negotiable. Your joy will no longer be dependent on who stays or who leaves. You've stepped into a frequency where fear cannot access you, where bitterness cannot hold you, and where shame has no voice. What was heavy will now be holy.